Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from our studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. It means we're brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Our Tuesday staples all going to be here all on time this week. Glenn West, 1:30. We'll talk Tigers with Glenn. He's a senior writer at Go 24/7. Colin Jeter, former Tiger, going to be with us at 2 o'clock, as he is every single Tuesday. So looking forward to that discussion. I want to talk LSU Florida with Colin. He's obviously got some interesting memories of that rivalry from his playing days. And we'll talk to Sharif Ishaq about the New Orleans Saints at the bottom of hour number 2, 2:30 from New Orleans. So lots and lots to do. Lock us in. Let's crank it up the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
It's Florida week. Time to get out of the malaise of the non-conference showdown with an in-state Conference USA team, move into Southeastern Conference action as LSU and Florida will play Saturday night in Death Valley. I just wanted to take some time at the beginning of the week to discuss the LSU and Florida rivalry. It's a very, very interesting rivalry based on a number of different factors. When you think about rivalries in collegiate athletics, so many of them are born out of geography, right? Like, it's just very natural that A&M and Texas are huge rivals, that Ole Miss and Mississippi State are rivals, that Louisville and Kentucky are rivals. Even the geographical impact of Michigan and Ohio State, which border each other, like, that's what most rivalries are born from. And LSU and Florida, although, you know, the Florida parishes of Louisiana and the Panhandle of Florida aren't too far away from each other, it's not a natural geographical rivalry. But the two schools were founding members of the SEC, and they've played every year since 1971. So there's a lot of history, and we all know that in 1992, when the SEC expanded to 12 teams and brought in Arkansas in South Carolina, and then they went to the permanent opponent model, why LSU and Florida were paired together. Because Auburn and Georgia stood up at the table and said, well, we're going to play every year, and we're not in the same division, so figure that out. And Alabama and Tennessee said, yeah, us too, we're going to play every year, and we're not in the same division, so figure it out. And the answer was, well, we'll have to go ahead and make everyone play one team from the other side every year. In fact, it was two. And so they weren't going to pair Florida, which was at, you know, new levels under Steve Spurrier, with Ole Miss, who hadn't been any good in decades. They weren't going to pair him with Mississippi State, who had never been good. They weren't going to pair Arkansas and Florida. LSU wasn't going to get to play Vanderbilt every year. So it was naturally like, okay, LSU and Florida, like, y'all are playing each other. And at that point, LSU was primed to enter just a disastrous period of its football history in the mid-90s, early 90s, I should say. And Florida reached heights it had never reached before. And essentially, when LSU signed up for that in 1992, it was the worst time you could have signed up for that in either of those two programs' histories. And basically, Florida made you pay for it. From 1988 through 2001, LSU won one time. That's essentially from my birthday to 7th grade. LSU won once. The average score of those Florida wins was 35-10. There was a 58-3 in 93. There was a 56-13 in 96. I mean, it was just an absolute demolition annually by this program that LSU had been assigned to, because Tennessee and Alabama wanted to play, and Georgia and Auburn wanted to play. LSU got outscored in those 9 losses in the 90s, 315-93. But then something happened in 2001. Steve Spurrier left, and Nick Saban had been in Baton Rouge for a year, and the tide started to turn in this rivalry. Saban took his team to Gainesville and just annihilated Ron Zook's first Florida team 36-7 in Gainesville. They paid for it with Matt Mock's broken foot, but they went there and just crushed them. And that started a stretch of 3 wins in 4 years for LSU. The actually one loss was in Tiger Stadium the year LSU won the national championship in 2003. But LSU would also win 4 out of 6 years, right there in Saban's era, right into the beginning of Les Miles. Post Steve Spurrier, this game has been played 23 times, and LSU has won 15 of the 23. It's 15-8. And of late, LSU has owned this rivalry. Before last year, when LSU went to the Swamp and got beat by Florida, LSU had won 5 in a row. Currently, LSU has won 9 of the last 13. And that stretch of dominance by LSU against Florida has quite literally evened this rivalry up. Would you believe that these two teams in their history have played 71 times? LSU has won 34. Florida has won 34. There have been 3 ties. It is dead, solid, even in 71 matchups between these two schools. I didn't know that until I looked it up today. Now, I realized that Florida had a pretty spotty history pre-Spurrier, and we realized I did know that LSU had dominated of late. But you consider these two programs since 1992, when they were forced to play each other annually, they have accounted for 12 SEC championships, more than 1 out of 3, 12 out of 33, 12 SEC titles, 6 national titles, and 3 Heisman trophies. It is a rivalry, to bring this full circle, that has been born out of greatness as opposed to geography. And that's really cool. Now, look, y'all know me. I'm not going to try to pretend something that I'm not. If you told me that you get to pick a permanent opponent for LSU, I'm going to pick Vanderbilt. My second choice is going to be Kentucky. My third choice is going to be Mississippi State. Okay? That's who I would choose to play because I'm interested in winning. And that gives me the best chance to win. But I'm also not going to sit here and suggest that the history that LSU and Florida share is not pretty special since that fateful day when they were paired together in 1992. It has been. It has produced some crazy stuff. Y'all know it all. Hurricane Matthew, where the game was supposed to be in Gainesville, and they decided not to play it in Gainesville, and LSU tried to, and then they moved it to Baton Rouge, and then Ogeron was trying to sew up the job, and LSU tried to pitch it to Darius Geis, and he got stopped at the 1-yard line. You know about that. The crazy, wild shoe game that nobody will ever forget in the fog in a COVID-empty Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Jacob Hester with the 4th downs. The fake field goal in the Swamp with Urban Meyer pointing the other way. LSU in Florida in 1997. Who could forget that? There have been just crazy, crazy instances in this game, and the levels that these programs have reached are amazing. And so it is a special thing, and we don't know if this is going to be an annual thing moving forward. They've moved to 16 teams. They're moving to 9 conference games next year. Everybody's going to get 3 permanent opponents. LSU and Florida might be. But if LSU and Florida are paired together, then Florida is going to have to drop one of its traditional rivalries. They'll have to drop either Tennessee or Georgia or one of the ones out east that they've played forever and ever, like South Carolina. We'll see. I just don't think that they're going to put Florida with Tennessee, Georgia, and LSU. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Certainly LSU and Florida have more history than those other teams, but you're not going to pair Florida with 3 of the Blue Bloods. It's just not going to happen. So if you don't get paired with them, quote unquote, permanently, and we know that it's not actually permanent, they're just going to reevaluate every 6, 7, 8 years, you may have a couple years where LSU and Florida don't play each other. And it'll be like LSU and Auburn these last 2 years and LSU and Mississippi State these last 2 years. And y'all know how I feel about that as well. I can get just as fired up for Texas coming in here as I can for Florida coming in here. I have more history with Florida, but it's a blue blood program. It's an iconic brand and uniform, and it'll be a budding rivalry if it's Texas or if it's Oklahoma or if Tennessee comes in here with one of their really good teams. If Georgia comes in here. I'm not as invested individually with the programs because the names and faces change so often. I think everyone in here would suggest they feel a little bit differently about Kalen DeBoer's Alabama than they did Nick Saban's Alabama. I think everyone would suggest you were just as excited when LSU beat Clemson this year and you realized that Auburn wasn't on the schedule. That, to me, is not a big deal. But I get why former players like Matt Flynn and Jacob Hester, who are on our morning show, who have such a tight bond with this rivalry. I understand that. And they'll play on Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. And the winner of that game will have an edge in the series, which is kind of cool. So this is not about whether or not LSU and Florida have to play moving forward. It's not about who's going to be the permanent opponent. Maybe it will be. But it is, to me, kind of a celebration of, wow, what an amazing run this has been. It got off to a terrible start in the 90s for LSU, and you thought, how are we ever going to beat these guys? But until last year, there was a sense in games like, when are we ever going to beat these guys? And the programs are just iconic. The last time these two teams played in Tiger Stadium was one of the greatest performances any of us have ever seen. It was one of the greatest performances in the history of the Southeastern Conference. It was Jaden Daniels running for 234 yards, passing for 372 yards, accounting for 5 touchdowns. First player in FBS history to run for 200 and throw for 350 in a game, and the 606 yards he accounted for were an SEC record. That night, he essentially etched his name on the Heisman Trophy. And now we'll see what the encore is for this LSU team that's looking to avenge a nasty loss in Gainesville. And oh, by the way, Billy Napier is like trying to save his job. So a lot of storylines in this matchup. The point of this segment was not to get into the X's and O's of this weekend. We got 3 days to get into that, and we certainly will. But it's been a very, very cool rivalry. One that may continue next year, may not. But that doesn't erase the 32 years that we've watched these two programs in the midst of some of the greatest runs they've ever had. I would argue the greatest runs they've ever had. And they've done it right across the field from each other. Been very, very cool. So LSU in Florida, Saturday night in Death Valley. We'll be talking about it all week long. We'll address it with Glenn West, Go 24/7, coming up in 15 minutes. And we'll talk to Colin Jeter from the LSU Alumni Association, and, of course, former LSU tight end, about his memories of LSU in Florida at the top of hour number 2. We'll step aside. When we come back, let's talk about Taysom Hill as they've restructured his deal. What's his future in New Orleans? When might he come back? And what could his role be on this team that looks a lot different than the one he played for last year? We'll talk about it all next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. When you think Genesis, think luxury. When you think luxury, don't immediately say, well, can't afford that. You don't know until you go try. You don't know until you stop by the dealership. Talk to them about their amazing inventory. Talk to them about certified pre-owned vehicles. They've got those as well. You'll experience the difference from the moment you walk on the showroom floor. The staff is warm and welcoming. They'll treat you like a guest, not a customer. The line of vehicles is phenomenal. Every single one, an IHA top safety pick. And then once you make that purchase and realize that you get 3 years of complimentary maintenance and valet maintenance at that, where they can come get your vehicle and bring it to the dealership and do the maintenance and bring it right back to you. It's all first class. And that's the point when you shop at Genesis. I know a lot of folks have had bad experiences with dealerships over their car buying history. There's cliches that exist for a reason, stereotypes that exist for a reason. At Genesis Baton Rouge, you'll experience that difference. Go by and see them, Airline at PQ. Check out the entire line at genesisofbatonrouge.com. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit louisianapropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
When it comes to pipe,
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trusty Properties.
Tuesday shows brought to you, as always, by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Licensed realtor, Louisiana and Mississippi. Y'all know hunting season is coming very, very, very soon. If you're in the market, buying or selling hunting land, St. Francisville, Mississippi, give Daryl a call. He's happy to help you with the transaction of handling those buying and selling of land. Licensed, as I said, in Louisiana and Mississippi, Trusty Property, a name you can trust. I'm all about being held accountable. I think that's a very good thing. I think we would all agree that folks should be held accountable for their actions. And so I do appreciate the Ghastly Gamer in the Bayou Ford chat suggesting that LSU had 3 wins vacated in recent years so that Florida actually had an edge of 34-31. I do not give a rip about vacated victories. That is the most foolish way to quote-unquote punish anyone. I witnessed all those games. I know that LSU won them, and I'm going to count them because that's the way I'm going to operate. If the LSU the LSU book wants to vacate him, or the Florida wants to vacate him, or if Wikipedia wants to take him down, they can do that. That's fine. I don't care. I watched the games. I know who won them, and I'm going to add them to the ledger as such. So that's the way I'm going to approach things. Reasonable, I think, to say that those wins are vacated and don't count. I'm just going to count them because I watched them. So, all right, let's move into the Saints here on this Tuesday. Cat Terrell doing some quality reporting about the restructuring of Taysom Hill's contract. I very rarely get into the nitty-gritty on salary cap on radio. I find that it's far better to be communicated in print when you can look at the numbers. When you're driving around or watching or working out or listening and you start throwing out, saving X amounts to cap, and then you got this much of dead money here, and all the numbers just kind of get jumbled up. So I'm not going to dive too deeply into it. But I will say that the Saints saved $3.6 million redoing Taysom Hill's deal. And they've done that by reducing his salary cap hit from essentially $18 million down to $14.2. Hill has the opportunity to make up that difference in some roster bonuses when he comes back and is active this year. Those 12 roster bonuses worth about $500,000 each mean that he's likely to come back in week 6 after 5 games, 4 of those on the PUP list. So it sounds like a target date for Taysom is week 6. There's been some speculation that the Saints might cut Taysom Hill to save some of that money. At this point in the Saints franchise, I'm not, like where they are with the roster, I'm not really opposed to saving money a lot of different places. But at the same point, if we're just talking about the 2025 season, which in this case we are because the Saints can get out from under this deal, I'm okay with keeping him around and spending the cash. I don't feel like the Saints are going to need to make a big splash near the trade deadline to add onto that team. I don't think they need to make a big free agent acquisition, injury barring, to bolster the roster. So I don't need there to be excess funds readily available for this roster. What I need is the most competent offensive roster I can put together around Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. And if they believe that Taysom Hill is part of that, and I have every belief that they do think that, then let's keep him around. If he can help the running game, good. That's good for the young quarterbacks. If he can provide a wrinkle that makes opposing defensive coordinators have to deal with that, good. That helps a young quarterback. If he can be in meetings with young quarterbacks and talk about some of the things he's seen in his now lengthy NFL career, good. That's good for young quarterbacks. You have a lot of upheaval at the tight end spot beyond Juwan Johnson because Taysom's obviously hurt and Foster Moreau's hurt, and we'll see what happens when he comes back. But I'm all about creating and cultivating this ecosystem for these young quarterbacks that's the best they can be. We've already seen Spencer Rattler out there with no help. That's not good for anybody. We saw it last year. You can't get a read on what he is as a quarterback. He can't develop any rhythm or confidence. It's a disaster. So keeping some quality pieces around these guys is important. I have no interest in Taysom Hill taking a bunch of snaps. That ship has sailed. That day is past. That doesn't help the current Saints team, and it certainly doesn't help the Saints long term. But I'm not giving up on Taysom Hill as a guy who can convert some 3rd and 4th downs for you, who can help you in the red zone, who can just make life a little bit easier for quarterbacks who need everything to be easier in this part of their development. Plus, he's an awesome guy to have in the locker room, which is important. It's not the most important thing, but it is important. So it appears to me that the Saints are going to put a target date for Taysom to return October 12th. That's in week 6. That's when they play the Patriots. If he gets there in time, he gets a $500,000 roster bonus. If not, he's going to forfeit that money, and obviously you wouldn't expect him to just leave a ton of money out there on the table. So it feels like that's very likely where this target date lies. I think this is very clearly Taysom Hill's last year with the team. I don't see a situation where they bring him back unless for some reason you find something in this new offense that Kellen Moore is piloting that you can't do without because it's helped out so much and you want to add him to another 1-year deal. But Taysom Hill is getting up there in age. I mean, he's not clearly getting any younger at this point. And that violent running style that he's always had is just going to be tough on a 35, 36-year-old to maintain. You're talking about him at age 29? Yeah, you can do it. 36? It's just a different story. And now his entire body's been repaired surgically from head to toe. So I'm good with the decision for the Saints to keep him around. I'm fine with the decision to restructure and change some things financially. And I think that he can help create some relief for an offense that's looking for help for young quarterbacks. I don't need him taking 15 snaps a game, but if you think he's a help in the red zone, which he has been when he's been healthy the last 2 years, he was their only red zone answer 2 years ago, and for some of last year was really all they could figure out. Now, last year just buckled because the offensive line disintegrated, and then Hill got hurt, and so it's not even really worth talking about on the offensive side of the ball. But a couple years ago, yeah, it was he was in the final year of Pete Carmichael, like one of the only things you could count on. And if you want to add some of that to what you do, good. You want to use him as a numbers advantage guy, good. But do it while you develop and bring along a pair of young quarterbacks. That's obviously the most important thing here. It's a tired thing to keep saying, but just because it's been repeated doesn't make it any less true. So there's not a ton of Saints positivity that's just flying all over the place. Saw the odds come out again today that ranked division winners, conference championship winners, Super Bowl winners, and the Saints are dead last in every single metrics when you talk about going to place actual money on it. So there's not a lot of sunshine and rainbows out there in Saints land. But I do think that this decision makes a lot of sense. I don't need to free up significant money for this year. I need this year's team to have a quality environment for young quarterbacks to play in, and I think Taysom can help that. So we'll see if he does, in fact, come back on week 6. Got a month to go to get there, but Taysom Hill looks like that's when he'll be making his return, and hopefully he can have a positive impact on this Saints offense that's trying to figure out who it is, what it is, and what it's going to be moving forward with, right now, Spencer Rattler at quarterback. If you're looking for our Saints coverage, you can find it. Hunt on Saints is the spot on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. Ross Jackson got you covered over there at LouisianaSports.net every single weekday. Now that the Saints work week has begun, you got attendance reports, you got injury reports, you got practice observations, and of course all the interview news and notes that you want from the New Orleans Saints over there at LouisianaSports.net. All of it for free. All right, we'll transition back to LSU. Glenn West, senior writer at Go247, going to talk some Tigers with us when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, just phenomenal folks to work with, and they're experts. A lot of brokers in the insurance game don't handle captives very often. It's kind of a new frontier of insurance over the last 10, 12 years, and it's something that is becoming more available to sizable businesses. So if you are a sizable business that pays a significant amount in insurance and you have not explored a captive, call Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're happy to help you with that. If you're a fit, your loss history is good, and your premium is significant, they can get you into a captive. And it may be a game changer for your bottom line in terms of risk management as a business. If you haven't seen this option presented, call Jonathan at the Highland Insurance Group. Reach out, HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're based right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
On this Tuesday, hope your work week is off to a good start. Colin Jeter, former Tiger tight end, now with the LSU Alumni Association, going to be with us. Coming up in 30 minutes, Sharif Ishak in 1 hour talking Saints. Saints looking forward to the San Francisco 49ers, who all of a sudden are going to be without George Kittle and potentially Brock Purdy this weekend. Things getting a little dicey there from an injury perspective with the 49ers. So we'll talk to Sharif about that coming up in 1 hour. LSU in Florida, Saturday night in Death Valley. Glenn West, senior writer at Go 24/7, will be there. We're talking about it now as he joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Glenn, how we doing?
Doing well, Hunt. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Tell me about your thoughts on LSU's offense on Saturday. You know the options here, but there's letdown, there's bad offensive line, there's poor execution, there's a lot of different things that it could be. What was your takeaway from Saturday night?
Yeah, I think probably for me, just the hope here leaving the stadium on Saturday night was that was the worst you hope LSU's offense looks this year. It was not clean from really any perspective. I thought that they did an okay job of moving the ball between the 30s, kind of getting into scoring opportunity range and being able to consistently move the ball. I think they ended up around 360, 370 yards or something in the game. But it just didn't look like everybody was in sync for the entirety of the game. I mean, Nussmeier was missing very makeable throws. Obviously, the very first big pass of the game he made was the deep ball to Berrien Brown, which should have been an easy 70-yard touchdown, and Nuss just underthrew him by about 10 yards. And that's just something that I don't think we've seen him do a whole ton there. But look, I think this is most of what, just looking back and watching back on it, it's mostly correctable. I think from a just execution standpoint, and obviously there's going to be some really interesting conversations that go on about how to get the most out of this offense going forward, because it really does seem like it's kind of flipped, right, from year to year. Last year it was, can LSU get enough stops to get off the field to give the offense enough support, and this year it's, can the offense put up enough points to help give the defense some support, at least through 2 weeks. So it's very, very changing of the guard there for LSU in that respect. But I think long term, I still have a lot of faith in this offense being able to figure it out. And obviously the talent, I think, is really where a lot of that belief comes from.
That's an interesting way. I hadn't thought this conversation was going to go, but let's do it. It's kind of like the Will Wade basketball program, where there was a team that couldn't guard anybody but scored $1 billion with Cam Thomas and Trendon Watford and Javonte Smart, and then they had an elite defensive team the next year that couldn't score. Like, is it a good thing that you are able to field a great defense and a great offense, or is it a bad thing that you haven't gotten them both right, seemingly, to this point?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's probably still too early to put this offense in that same bucket as maybe the past defenses that we've seen here at LSU. I still think this offense has massive talent, but through 2 weeks, I mean, you've seen the games, you've seen everything. Like I would say that it's been the offense that has kind of been the letdown here so far through 2 games, and so I think there's a lot of opportunities here for them to go out and prove themselves. I think this Florida defense is one that can be attacked and has some weaknesses that I think LSU can exploit. But at the end of the day, they got to go out there and do it. And I think for me, there's going to be a lot of things I'm looking for in terms of just protection and how the offensive line's moving, how the running game continues to evolve. And certainly the vertical passing game, you want to see really get these guys get a lot of these speedsters out there and making plays. But yeah, I think it's probably a little too early to say it's going to be that kind of a theme for the entire year. But certainly that's been what I've noticed, at least through 2 games.
Are we making too big a deal out of the Braylon Moore injury in the middle and DJ Chester coming in, or are we talking about that appropriately?
I think it's an appropriate conversation to have. I do think that for Louisiana Tech at least, you shouldn't have seen the massive drop off, right? When Braylon Moore goes out, DJ Chester comes in, and it really wasn't just DJ Chester. You hate to pick on just one guy because I think it was a product of all 11 guys just not being able to get on the same page and consistently be what LSU needed them to be in that game. So I think there's the Louisiana Tech game should have still been much further apart from a scoring perspective than it ended up being, and it was just a really poorly executed game. And I found it really interesting how Brian Kelly put a lot of it on the coaching, and certainly coaching plays a factor. But just going back and watching it, I mean, there were very executable plays that LSU should have made in that game that they just didn't. And I think that's something that can be corrected. And but I guess to answer your question directly, no, I think we're talking about it the appropriate amount, and hopefully Braylon Moore can get back on the field sooner than later. I think they're going to try to ramp him up today and see kind of what his progress looks like throughout the week. But certainly he's a massive piece to this thing, and certainly the long-term future of what this offense looks like in 2025.
You surprised they hadn't been able to connect on the deep ball yet?
I've been thinking about that a lot. And honestly, the Clemson game, I thought it was a conservative approach, but I thought it was the right approach for that game, just to get the ball out quickly and to let that speed really kind of make the plays for them there, especially as the game went along. I thought that they were going to hit on more of those deep shots against Louisiana Tech, and they took them. I mean, I think the first play to Barryon Brown was one, and there were several others there that I think they just kind of missed. And I think that will come. I think it'll come. I don't know when. But I think there's just too much talent on the perimeter, and I think Nussmeier has too much of that arm talent to not capitalize on that as the season goes along. I don't know that it's going to be the game plan, though, for this particular game, because just in watching some of the Florida game against USF, a lot of the ways USF had success against Florida was yards after the catch and getting the ball out quickly to their receivers. And I think of the 263 yards that the USF quarterback threw for last week, 201 came after the catch by their receivers. And so it's going to be really important, I think, to just get the ball out to the playmakers and let them go make plays. And certainly Aaron Anderson, Xavion Thomas, Barryon Brown, Nick Anderson. I'd like to see Chris Hilton get involved still. I still think he can be a very important piece to all this. But I think it's going to be more important for LSU just to get the ball into those guys' hands and see what they can do with the ball in their possession.
Defense is pretty salty once again on Saturday against an overmatched opponent that's really bad on offense, quite frankly. But what has stood out to you about the defense to this point?
Yeah, I think for me, just how well this thing has clicked so early into the season. I think I mentioned it after the Clemson game, but just the communication, the tackling, the consistent pressure, following Blake Baker's game plans to a T. They've integrated a lot of new pieces into this thing on defense, and I've just been seriously impressed by how quickly that has kind of turned into a really elite defense as a result. I thought it might take a few weeks to really kind of get the thing rolling, but they really came out from game one and established the tone and set the mark high and set the standard high for how they're going to play this year. And I would expect that to continue. I've been extremely impressed with Harold Perkins and what he's done in his position at the Star. I think Monsieur Delane has been a true shutdown cornerback that they've been looking for several years now. DJ Pickett, PJ Woodland, AJ Halsey, those guys are complementing the secondary really well. And then I think the communication really from front to back has been really, really strong and allowed LSU to have the kind of success that they're having so far on that side. So just been really impressed overall with just the communication and just how quickly it's come together for this group seemingly here in 2025.
All right, Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. You mentioned Florida a little bit, but we haven't talked a lot about their offense. DJ Lagway really struggled against South Florida. How do you feel like LSU defensively matches up, and what could give them some concerns?
Yeah, I mean, they have a couple really solid receivers. Ventrell Brown is a guy that nearly broke the internet with his play that he made on the first week with that one-handed grab. That was a really amazing play. Jaden Bow is a solid running back. They have some really interesting pieces offensively, but I think for LSU, this is going to be a little bit of a different challenge. Whereas Klubnik and the guy they faced last week were guys that you felt comfortable with in terms of being able to move their legs. I think Lagway is going to want to try to pass the ball a lot here. I think probably part of the game plan from Florida is going to be to get the ball out to his receivers pretty quickly just because of how much pressure LSU's applied in these first couple weeks. It kind of sounds a lot like we were talking about coming into the Clemson game for LSU's offense, getting the ball out quickly and trying to, not allow LSU's defense or Clemson's front line of defense to have a ton of pressure on Nussmeier. I think that could be an approach that Florida tries to take in this game as well. But I really think DJ Lagway is a very talented quarterback. Coming into the year, I thought this might be one of LSU's trickiest games of the season. And I think there's just a ton of potential there by Lagway in particular to kind of make this a little bit more of an interesting game. But I do think ultimately LSU is the more talented team, the better team, and the way this defense is played, I have every confidence that no matter what Florida throws at LSU, they'll be able to adjust and be able to get off the field pretty consistently.
All right, last one, big picture. Now that you've seen LSU's opponents play a couple of weeks, you've seen LSU play a couple of weeks, how do you feel about LSU's playoff chances?
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, leaving the Clemson game, I think you had all your cards in front of you in that game, and they were able to win it. And I personally don't see 3 losses on this schedule the rest of the way. If they end up losing 1 or 2, depending on who it is too, I think this team is very easily in the college football playoff right now. But there are still some question marks, right, that you got to get right here over the next several weeks, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. But if they evolve and get better as the season goes along, like I think that they will, I think this is a playoff team for sure. And it's just going to be about how they handle some of the pressure situations on the road against Ole Miss, against Alabama, against Oklahoma. If they can win one of those 3 games and then take care of business at home, that's your schedule right there. That's your playoff team. So I do feel really good about their chances, but there are still some things that they need to work out here over the next couple weeks.
Team coverage, recruiting coverage, you can find it all at Go 24/7. Glenn's the senior writer over there. Got a great team along with Sonny Ship and company, so appreciate him giving us a little bit of time here, as he does every single Tuesday. We'll see you tonight, Glenn. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Hunt.
He is Glenn West on the LSU Beat. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Daryl May, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi with Trusty Properties. If you're looking for land, if you're looking for hunting ground, you're looking for something for agriculture, a second home, something outside the city, outside the hustle and bustle, Daryl May of Trusty Properties can help you out with that. He's Baton Rouge native who's now made his home in St. Francisville. If that's something that sounds attractive to you, make it happen and give Daryl a call. I give you his cell phone number every single week, and I invite you to give him a call if you're looking for land. So give Daryl a call. It's, of course, 225-268-6915. 225-268-6915. It's Daryl May with Trusty Properties, a name you can trust. How many teams can win the SEC? I'll tell you how many I think when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years of redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big issue in the bathroom. If there's someone in your life that's aging and you feel like, hey, you might need to take some precautions there, you can't eliminate the risk, but you can mitigate against it. Put in non-slip floors. Put in guardrails near slippery areas. Put in a walk-in tub. Put in a shower with a bench on it. All these things are things that can happen pretty easily with the folks at One Bath and Closets. I know everybody thinks about beauty and decor and upgrades when you think about a renovation, but also safety can be a big, big deal. If there's someone in your life that you feel like could benefit from that conversation, we'll have it with David. It's free. It's onebathandclosets.com is the website. You can see the pictures of their great work. You can see reviews from their satisfied customers, and of course, you can get that free consultation. One Bath and Closets. Find them online. onebathandclosets.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item, we prominently feature it in social media, on our website, but we do it because it's the right thing to do for the community.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trusty Properties.
Looking to purchase a home in St. Francisville, a weekend home at Lake Rosemount? Give Daryl May a call. Daryl May, Trusty Properties, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Daryl May, a name you can trust. This is not a long segment. This is not statistically driven. This is just a kind of a whim that I had at my desk today, and it may turn out to look really stupid, but that's okay. Half the stuff I do on this show is really stupid. So it's just a thought that I had, and I think it has to do with the fact that I'm not 100% certain that Georgia is a juggernaut. Texas has looked and Saban's gone. And I'm looking around going, for 15 years, almost 20 years now, there's been a proven juggernaut in the Southeastern Conference that very few teams can beat. Like those Saban teams, like LSU had a couple that could stand up to him. Auburn had a couple that could stand up to him. At the end, Kirby could stand up to him. Urban Meyer could certainly stand up to him, but not a lot. Not a lot. And those war machines that Kirby had with those national championship defenses were so good that just not a lot of teams going to beat them. And I don't know if there is that team. And what that does is it just so opens up the Southeastern Conference race. If I told you Georgia was going to win the SEC this year, I don't think you would blink. If I told you Texas was going to win the SEC this year, I don't think you would just be fall on the floor stunned. They got to play better. I don't know if Arch is hurt. Sarkisian saying weird stuff yesterday. But, it's possible they could win the SEC. I think LSU is a contender to win the Southeastern Conference. I'm not certain that Oklahoma's not good enough to win it. Venables has had a good defense the last 2 years, and now Mateer's playing well. It's a nice win they got over the weekend. Are you certain you're ruling Bama out? I can't just strike a match through them right now. I don't think they're going to play for the conference championship. I think they might lose 4 games this year, but South Carolina's got a dynamic quarterback, tough defense. Could they win the league? Again, I'm not going to bet against them. I'm not going to bet on them, but it's possible. Tennessee's played well. Texas A&M, I think Marcel Reed's looked decent. Their defense hasn't looked that good. I think they can run the ball. I wouldn't pick this South Carolina team, or this Tennessee team, or this Texas A&M team to beat the Kirby teams from 4 years ago. I wouldn't pick them to beat Saban in 2010 or 11. But I think there are 9 teams that could win the league. Now, that'll get whittled down over the next 3 weeks. So there'll be chinks in the armor. But it feels really open. And I don't know how much of that is because Saban's gone. I don't know how much of that is because of NIL. I don't know how much of that is because of the portal. You ask 5 different people about this, fans, analysts, coaches, you'll get 5 different answers. But it feels like there's some parity in the sport. I didn't even mention Ole Miss, and they didn't look great last weekend, and I don't think they're going to win the league either. And maybe, just maybe, Georgia goes 7-1, and Texas goes 7-1, and they play, and everybody else has 2, 3, 4 losses, and this whole thought process ends up being fruitless. But as I sit here right now, September 9th, I can make you a pretty damn compelling case for 6 or 7 teams. That never freaking happened in the Saban era. It was never the case. So I think that's kind of cool. And I think it makes things compelling. And you don't have to win the SEC to make the playoff. I think that makes things compelling. I think there are probably 9 to 10 fan bases in the SEC that feel like if they play a little bit better than they did the first 2 weeks, and they do catch that one big win on the road, that they've got a really good chance to be 10-2 and make the playoff. Again, it'll get picked off week over week, and I understand how the season goes, and there's a natural attrition that goes with it, and the bottom's going to fall out somewhere. But I think the lack of dominance at the top truly does prop up the middle of the league to thinking you got a shot, and I think that's a healthy thing for the sport. It's not going to breathe a ton of life into this Arkansas team. I don't think anybody's fooled into thinking that Mississippi State is going to go on a run here. But South Carolina, Tennessee, A&M, maybe. I don't have a hard time stretching to see that. I'll pull against it. I don't have a hard time stretching to see that. Again, I'm not going to break down matchups here, go into blue chip rating. This is just kind of a whim that I had today at my desk looking over the Southeastern Conference. I think there's parity. I think it's a deep league. And I think that's going to cultivate some real interest throughout the course of the 12-week season. I think that's cool. So just a little thought there that I'm just not sure that Kirby's got that thing where it was 4 years ago, and that means everybody else can take a swing. Ole Miss certainly did last year. Didn't matter. Georgia still won the league. That's why I'm picking them to win the league. But I think everybody's got a shot. That's it for hour number 1 here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. If you missed any of the first hour, talked about LSU and Florida series history at the top of the show. Glenn West talks some LSU as well. You can find those up at Hunt on LSU. Also talks about Taysom Hill's restructure, what that means for him this year and what role he could play for the Saints offense now with the new coaching staff. So, well, you can dive into all that on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. A lot to do in the second hour. We'll talk Street Fight Shack in 35 minutes from right now. And then in 5 minutes, Colin Jeter, former Tiger, now with the LSU Alumni Association, and talk some ball with Colin when we come back after national headlines, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Easy Golf Club, Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge, Seguin near Perkins. Get on by and see the folks at Swing Easy. It's such a comfortable environment. It's really nice. Got great seating area. You got the golf simulators there, the television. If you're looking for somewhere to hang out and beat the heat this weekend, you're not going to be tailgating. You want to watch the NFL on TV, you watch LSU on TV. While you're hitting some golf balls, drinking some beer, having some wine, hanging with friends, Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge can make that happen for you. I want to mention the memberships. You can get a personal membership to Swing Easy that comes with 7 hours a month, complimentary. You can stop by during your lunch break, stop by after lunch, stop by in the evening to hang out. You can get a corporate membership where you can host team building or clients. All awesome opportunity there on Seguin at Perkins at Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
family-owned and community-driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The 49ers putting tight end George Kittle on injured reserve with a hamstring injury. He'll miss games against the Saints, Cardinals, Jaguars, and Rams. Niners not sure if they'll have quarterback Brock Purdy this Sunday due to shoulder and toe injuries, explains ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
And the toe is actually more problematic right now than the shoulder. They want to evaluate him as the week goes on, and it's clear that his status right now is up in the air. And if Purdy can't go, then Mac Jones would start on Sunday at New Orleans against the Saints.
Adam Schefter on Unsportsmanlike. In addition, San Francisco is making a change at kicker, set to waive Jake Moody. He missed a 27-yard field goal and had a 36-yard attempt blocked in the season opener. The estranged wife of Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill has alleged 8 separate incidents of domestic violence in court filings related to the couple's divorce case. Hill has vehemently denied the allegations. ESPN's Pete Thamel reports Colorado expected to start quarterback Ryan Staub Friday at Houston. He began the season as the Buffalo's third stringer.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, we saw some impressive debuts from old quarterbacks in new places. I'll tell you which ones are sustainable. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition, Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Trustee Properties. Daryl May, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. It is Tuesday, top of the second hour. That means welcome back, Colin Jeter, former Tiger, now with the LSU Alumni Association. How are we doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Another win.
Yeah,
2-0.
It was a win. It's 2-0 is good. When you haven't been 2-0 since 2019, you take 2-0. We talked about it last week. About how it's kind of can be tough to get up sometimes for that non-conference game. What did you see from the guys on Saturday night? It wasn't great.
Yeah, a little sloppy. You know, it is what it is. It was a trap game. We talked about it before. We just didn't play to our potential. Kind of went back and looked. Just a lot of mistakes. Missed field goal, early interception. Seemed to have some MAs here and there. Costly penalties. Just not the smooth game you were looking for. We were so much better than the opponent, and we just didn't show it. So.
Can you sense during practice or pregame if there might be one of those coming on where you're just not locked in? Because I talked about this on the postgame. Like, this happens every year. It's happened to the best teams that LSU has had where the 2007 team just completely no-showed for Tulane. They won the national championship. The 2011 team was just ridiculously good. They were up by 7 on Western Kentucky in the third quarter. It happens to everybody. Can you sense it coming?
It's odd because I feel like as a player, you don't really feel that. You know, you go into every game, wanting to play your best and put on the best show, and sometimes there's just a lull. I mean, when I was there in 15, we start 6-0, we lose to Alabama, and then we lost 2 straight. It was just like this long hangover. It happens, but as a player, I don't feel like you feel that. I feel like you go into every week, it's a new opponent, we're trying to go 1-0, but sometimes as a team, it just there's a lull there. It's tough to explain.
How big a deal is losing your center on the first play of the game for an offensive front?
Huge deal. I mean, when you're pointing out Mike, the guy who kind of leads the whole offense, he's pointing the direction for the line to push blocks and combos over to. Losing him was huge. I'm a little concerned about that. I obviously lost a couple guys, but your center who's, the captain of your offensive line and kind of gets the whole thing moving, that's a big hit.
As far as the running game goes, I'm sitting there watching it with an untrained eye, but it's just consistently just running to the line of scrimmage and there's nothing there. What do you see when you're watching the run game?
A little bit of just, honestly, most of it seems to come down to technique here and there. I mean, we're running schemes that should be able to pop, especially against an opponent like Louisiana Tech. But I watched a little bit this morning. Just, not combining well on combos. We're letting linebackers flow through. I mean, there was multiple plays where there was 3 red jerseys on the running back before he hit the line of scrimmage. So we got to get that cleaned up, especially against an opponent like Florida this week. You're going to have that run game. I know we're so good in the pass game, but if we can't be balanced, it's going to be an issue later in the season.
I don't know how much you can relate to Trey Green. Not exactly the same type of player, but I think you can very much relate to Bauer, Sharp, and then certainly Donovan Green, who's going to play a little bit more. What do you see as the role for those guys if Trey is out and as long as he's out? How does that change things?
Yes, I think you nailed it. I cannot relate to Trey Green. He's so much more athletic than I'll ever dream of. But the other guys, look, I think they've got a great opportunity to step in there for him. Obviously, we've kind of, Trey is a big piece of our offense. He's a guy we can throw a jump ball to. We talked about last week. I'd like to see us throw 50 of those a game, but he's not going to be there for the next foreseeable future, next couple weeks, seems. But Bauer Sharp, to me, is a great balanced tight end. He can do both. He can block. He can catch. He's a former quarterback. He's athletic. He understands route concepts. I think we will be okay. We have enough pass catchers. We saw, I think, 6 guys caught passes this week. And we talked about before how much depth we have at the pass catching position. I think we'll be fine. But obviously we just won't have that. Trey brings such an X factor with him, and losing him will certainly be a hit, but I think we can adapt around it.
How do they get a big play? How do they get the ball down the field? You got the talent, and I can understand the Clemson game plan, and you certainly, the first drive, you had a guy, Barron Brown, wide open, and he underthrew it. But, are you surprised a little bit that they haven't been able to bust the top off?
I am. Obviously, week 1 against Clemson, we didn't expect that to be necessarily a shootout, but certainly this past week, you would have thought we'd be more in the 30s, 40s points, and that just didn't happen. Again, when I played, I couldn't tell you how many times, one misassignment with 11 guys out there makes the difference. Yeah. That's it. You have to have 11 guys on the same page, and that's really where you start to get those explosive plays. We still had some in this game. I think we had 2 40-yard runs. But we're certainly going to need more of that this week.
The defense kind of gets lost in the shuffle because they kind of did what you expect them to do, but it's still not easy to hold a team to nothing for 3.5 quarters. What'd you like on Saturday?
Everything. Outside of at the end of the game, they got the garbage time touchdown against really our 2 defense. Our starters, they're still so just unbelievable. We're so good at every level, up front, linebacker, and in the defensive backfield. We're flying around making plays, not allowing a whole lot of action. I think they punted, 7 or 8 times?
9.
Yeah, 9 times. So there you go. We're just continuing to prove that we have a dominant defense this year, and we'll have another big opponent. I know Florida's coming off kind of a down week for them, but they're certainly going to be fired up about this one. So if we can prove we can do it again week 3 against an ACC and SEC opponent, I'll feel really good about the rest of the year.
Colin Jeter is our guest. We'll be here every single Tuesday at the top of hour number 2. It's with the LSU Alumni Association, but of course, former Tiger tight end who played against these Gators 3 times. I talked at the top of my show about this rivalry and how it's been an interesting one since they were married together in 1992 by the conference, because you had Georgia and Auburn that were going to play, and you had Tennessee and Alabama were going to play, and so everybody kind of looked around and went, well, LSU, you and Florida, y'all are going to have to do it too. So they did, and it's not a geographical rivalry like a lot of ones in college sports, but I think because these programs have been so good that it's been such a great annual rivalry. You played in 3 really, really interesting games in this rivalry. 2 went your way, 1 did not. But what do you think of when you think of LSU and Florida?
I know LSU has a lot of rivalries in the SEC. We talk about Alabama. We talk about the Golden Boot with Arkansas. We talk about the Magnolia Bowl with Ole Miss. But there is nobody we hate more than the Florida Gators. So that's a game every year that's obviously circled on the schedule. We want to beat those guys. They want to beat us. It just is what it is. It's a street fight of a game. Neither team likes each other. So this, to me, is the biggest game of the year when it comes to the rivalry and the heated piece of football.
I'm looking at, you played 14, 15, 16. 14 was 30-27 LSU. Was that the Colby Delahousie long field goal game?
Shout out to Colby Delahousie. And he was also on my golf team yesterday in the alumni tournament. We placed 3rd. Shout out to Colby, the Cajun kicker. Yes. So in 14, we had Colby on the 50. He drilled the 50-yarder to finish it. In 15, we had the fake field goal that Trent Doming ran in for the touchdown.
Yeah, the other fake field goal.
That's
not
right.
the Josh Jasper one with Urban Meyer, the second
That's
field
right.
goal.
Shout out to Brad Cragthorpe for a beautiful pass to our kicker, who bobbled it a couple times, but he did get in the end zone. And then in 16, I don't like to talk about. It's a sore subject, but 3 outstanding games. Truly, just a fist fight of a game. It always came down to the last possession, it seemed, at least in my time there.
I want to talk about that game that you don't want to talk about, because that was a crazy set of circumstances with Hurricane Matthew coming through, and Florida's hesitance to move the game, and then the weather made them move the game, and then the league always had to step in and go, okay, well, you're going to move it to Baton Rouge, and then we'll play 2 in Gainesville. And then you get the situation where Ed Ogeron's kind of, we feel like coaching for his job to keep the interim and become the head coach, and you got a chance to go to a BCS game at the time, and and then you go down to the end in Tiger Stadium, and then the toss to Darius. Guys, we were talking about it a little bit off air, but you were on the field for the end of that game when you're trying to punch it in. LSU ends up losing by 6. But what were your memories of that game that was so weird, the circumstances around it, and then the opportunity to go play?
You know, that's one of those games we talked about earlier with having the lull. That was just a day that we couldn't get anything really to go right. You know, we drove down the field. We got in the red zone multiple times. We had a botch snap on a field goal. We got stuffed on 4th down a few times. They threw the 99-yard touchdown. It was just such a
Andre DeBose,
yep.
Or maybe
it was such a weird game. It was a noon game. The worst part about it all is that it was my senior day, and I have a football that sits in my office, and I have to look at it all the time. So it just was one of those games that really didn't work for us. Obviously, we had a chance there at the end. Little miscommunication as far as the last play and didn't score. As I was telling you, we kind of dove down on the goal line. I got my eye gouged out, so I couldn't really see. All I could do was hear at the bottom of the pile, and I heard the wrong section cheering. So it certainly was not a fun end to Death Valley for me. But again, just one of those LSU Florida games that truly came down to the end.
I've talked about this a lot, not just in reference to that game, just in general. The worst sound in the world is that little pocket of the south end zone coming to life. And when the stadium's quiet and that little group gets to go, and that is a bad sound. And certainly you were right down there in that end zone when that happened. So as far as this game goes, I mean, Florida obviously kind of stunned LSU last year with an 11-point win when the Tigers looked to be the better team for the majority of the season. It was the 3rd loss in a row. Is there a revenge factor to that, or it's a new team? What do you think?
I think so. I think there's always a revenge factor when you lost the year before. This is a week that I saw the spread came out today like 9.5, which
it's a really big number.
I don't like that as an LSU fan. I'm hoping this Louisiana Tech game works in our favor and the guys understand we got to get things cleaned up to face the bigger opponent. I'm kind of glad that one didn't slide by. But again, Florida's on the opposite side of that. They lost a game they shouldn't have. I will say South Florida's a good team. I mean, they beat the brakes off of Boise State 2 weeks ago. But they're going to be upset. Napier, of course, seems like every year is playing for or coaching for his job. So they're going to come in and give us everything they got. This is not an opponent we can easily just slide by. We're going to have to play the right way, minimize the missed assignments, minimize the penalties, and make the plays when they're there. So I'm looking forward to a big game. It's
going to be a really celebratory city if they can win on Saturday, because you look forward and you've got an FCS team in Southeastern, so you're going to be 4-0 at that point before you go to Oxford. That's a long time to be undefeated, considering the way that the last 5 season openers have gone. So it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to Friday, getting out into to Football Friday over at the Cook. Tell everybody about it, and then certainly the Alumni Association, how folks can get involved.
Yeah, big week for us. So as I was saying earlier, yesterday we had our alumni golf tournament.
Yep.
It's the second one we've done in a row. Big event. We had like 130 players out there, almost 2 full flights of teams, plenty of sponsors that, we had tents on every hole, lots of foods, drinks. Everybody seemed to have a blast. I thought it was really, obviously we run it, but I thought it was a well-run tournament. But everyone had a chance to get out, meet and greet, meet some of the other people who were involved with LSU. There was a great lunch after, so you kind of got to sit down and really talk with all the other teams, but it was fun. And like I said, I do want to shout out my team, Colby the Cajun kicker, Drew Alamon, who scored all the points in the 2011 Game of the Century.
That's right.
And Austin Bain, SEC Hitter of the Week, numerous occasions.
Guy led the SEC in doubles as a fake pitcher.
The Bain train. So we had a great squad. They're much better golfers than I am.
You got kickers and pitchers on your team. That's a quality way to go about things.
Yeah.
All you were missing was a quarterback, and y'all have been
no doubt. Look, and that squad. People asked me what I was doing out there. I'm just more the team captain role. I'm fitting guys in the right position. So it all worked out. We did get on the podium. We'll be back for the title next year. But outside of that, Football Fridays at the Cook.
Yeah.
These are such fun events to me because we get these players this week. We'll have Charles Alexander, who's getting his jersey retired. We'll have Jacob Hester, who obviously has a history with Florida. Matt Flynn on the same 07 team as well. And Kevin Falk, who has his own history with Florida. Yep. So a lot having to do with the Florida Gators and the great games in LSU history. But they're all coming in. The cool part about this is it's a luncheon. We get the guys up there, kind of get to ask them questions that are, you hate to say off the record, but kind of off the record, questions that not the same all, how was the game? What'd you think of this and that? Like, really ask them about their experience outside of just the games and really being a student athlete at LSU. So it's a ton of fun. You never know what you're going to hear from these guys. I highly recommend if you get the chance to, purchase a ticket and go by and see one of these luncheons. They're just a great way to kick off game week. And I'm really looking forward to it.
I am as well. We will certainly be there before my show. I'm going to go over there and run that panel of those former players. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to our conversations every Tuesday. We'll see you Friday at the Cook.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
That is Colin Jeter, former Tiger, now with the LSU Alumni Association. Going to be with us every single Tuesday talking some ball. Come back and hear a little sound before we get to Sharif Ishak of WDSU talking Saints in 15 minutes. It's all next on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Bend Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even JB could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of JB Falgu.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
On the Whodats coming up in 10 minutes. News out of San Francisco. George Kittle has been placed on IR. He will not play against the Saints on Sunday. And the question now surrounding Brock Purdy, who's dealing with multiple injuries. Adam Schefter reporting that the toe injury that he's got is apparently more bothersome. And that may be what could ultimately hold him out of the game on Sunday. I think that kind of changes the math a little bit for the Saints. I think if everybody's healthy, San Francisco is probably a better, well, probably. San Francisco is a better roster than New Orleans. But if you take down Kittle, who's still a top 5 tight end in the NFL, and then you don't have Brock Purdy, the starting quarterback, that's a significant hit. And the game's in the Dome. So all of a sudden, it starts to get a little bit more interesting. The line has crept down a little bit since the news is broken. So we'll see. We'll talk Saints with Sharif coming up in 10 minutes. Brian Kelly spoke yesterday at his weekly press conference. And Beck, we're going to start here with number 12 on this cut list. It's just talking about examples of not being focused on the details when you're out there trying to execute the play that's called.
I really liked the energy we played with, the want to and the care, and not looking at La Tech and saying, well, this isn't Clemson. I didn't feel that at all. What I felt was lack of attention to detail in some areas. Look, we had a penalty. I'll give you an example. We're kicking off at the 50-yard line. Now, if you kick that thing out of bounds, it's a 30-yard penalty. They start on the 20, right? Or they tell you to back up 5, and then we kick it out of the end zone. That is a play we've gone over and over and over and over for tactical advantage, and we line drive it into the front line guy. Unacceptable. So we had things like that occur that is attention to detail and being on top of your work. So if I felt like we were flat and unemotional and didn't play with a desire that we need to, I'd be a lot more worried going into this game.
I was excited when he said he was going to give an example, and then I don't really care about the kicker line driving it off the Tech up back. Like, that's such a small element of the game. If this is a national championship game or you're playing a team that you're on even footing with, yeah, we can talk about whether or not the execution of the kickoff was good. I was looking for something else. But I think that the thing that you keep hearing from the players and the coaches that LSU was ready to go on Saturday. They just didn't play very well. And that is a little bit concerning because like I talked to West Weeks last week, and he said that, hey, we weren't ready to go against Nichols last year. And you're hoping as an LSU fan that like that's what was the case against Louisiana Tech. You hope that you were ready, you just weren't ready to play, and the lack of effort caused your lack of execution. I don't know that they believe that. They just think they played very poorly. And if you're going to play your worst game of the season, the team you want to play it against is 1 Southeastern and then 2 Louisiana Tech, 3rd Western Kentucky. So maybe you caught a break from that perspective, but it just wasn't very good. And we talked yesterday about Garrett Nussmeier's effort in the game, and he just wasn't accurate. The deep ball was well underthrown. And Brian Kelly spoke to Nuss's performance against Louisiana Tech.
You know, he did some really good things. Look, his standard is so high. I mean, they think he's going to be in Mount Rushmore in about a month. You know, I mean, it's crazy, the expectations. And he's still a college player that is working to get better. So there's some things that he would like to do better. And I think, he would tell you that, he learned a lot from last week. And that's great. That's all you want. At the end of the day, I want to see our guys go, I learned some things here that are going to help me be a better quarterback. And we'll ask all of our players, including Garrett, to think that way.
And my concern level with Garrett Nussmeier is like a 3. Like, it's not even close to an 8, 9, or 10. I wish he would have hit the deep ball. It was weird to me that Berrien Brown broke free and Nussmeier underthrew him by 5 steps. You hope there's nothing from an injury perspective that's hampering him. He certainly didn't look injured against Clemson. But that being that off target on a deep ball is concerning to me, just because it's just not something we've seen from him in 2 years. And so I'm not concerned about the accuracy. He missed a couple of intermediate to deep throws. I think he's going to be just fine, but that wasn't a good effort. And if he plays like that with that running game against good teams in the SEC, LSU's going to get beat. But I don't think he's going to play like that every week. I think he's going to be going to be better. The lack of explosiveness in the passing game is something that we've talked about for the last 2 days, and Brian Kelly got his opportunity to ask about it.
You've seen what we're doing. We're a lot more creative relative to the running game and getting some explosive plays. I think Varian Brown had an explosive play in the running game. Xavion had explosive. Harlem had an explosive. I think those explosive plays maybe went to the receivers last year, and you're seeing more explosive plays in the run game. We need to score more points. I think really the issue for me more than anything else is converting in those tough territory areas and scoring touchdowns instead of field goals. I like the balance now that we have explosive receivers that can catch it, but we also can run the ball and get some explosive. We really struggled with that last year. And so where I'll really be interested in see where this thing falls is our conversion rate in the red zone and scoring touchdowns instead of field goals.
Those explosives in the running game are due more so to the talent carrying the ball than it is the execution up front and the blocking and the play call, to me. Xavion busting around the corner, that's a good design, well blocked. Big run. Awesome. That was a 50-yard run. Loved it. That's good on every front. But Caden Durham, the first play from scrimmage against Clemson, that's not play design. That's a guy who spun off a tackle, put his hand on the ground to shake that tackle, and then turned it up and got to 25 yards on the ground. Harlem Berry's long run, he had to shed a tech defender right at the line of scrimmage, and once he did, whoosh, gone out the back door, and he runs it for 40 yards. And good. You've got the great players. I'm all about that. That's great, but I don't know that I would necessarily attribute that to great play calling or great execution. I would attribute that to great players, which is good because you've got a lot of great players, and we've talked about that significantly. As far as explosiveness in the passing game, it's probably a different conversation if they overturn Varian Brown's to a touchdown at Clemson and Nussmeier hits Brown in stride for a touchdown against Louisiana Tech on the first drive. Then all of a sudden it's not, well, why can't they hit explosives in the passing game? All of a sudden, at that point, it's, Varian Brown's one of the most explosive players in the league because you've hit him for 2 deep touchdowns in 2 weeks. That is quality play calling. That is a quality player. And in one case, it was great execution, just out of bounds. In the second case, he got wide open and Nussmeier couldn't get the ball out there to him. So my concern level on explosive plays in the passing game is very low as well. I think LSU will hit those because I know Varian Brown's explosive, and I know Chris Hilton's explosive, and I know Aaron Anderson's explosive, and I've got confidence that Nick Anderson can help you in that perspective as well. And I think that day is coming. But you're going to have to do some of the things around the line of scrimmage better, blocking, protecting, and running the ball to get the explosive plays down the field. And if you can't do those things at the line of scrimmage, teams are going to continue to do what Louisiana Tech did and play deep coverage and take the deep ball away and make you dink and duck it down the field like LSU was really forced to do a lot of the time last year. And Garrett Nussmeier is capable of doing it. He threw for 4,000 yards doing it and got LSU to a really consequential game against Texas A&M, unbeaten in the league doing it. But it's a harder way to make a living. You'd really rather execute some of the short things, get the ball down the field a little bit more easily, and get those chunk play touchdowns instead of having to go 13 plays to go 80 yards. So we'll see. I'm not overly concerned about the passing game. I am concerned about the running game. And I'm hopeful that there's a little bit of lack of motivation on Saturday night against Louisiana Tech. We'll see. More from Brian Kelly on tomorrow's show. We'll have him from the SEC teleconference, and then we'll have some player interviews from today that we can play on tomorrow's show as well. Still a lot of sound coming out of the LSU football operations building. Our Tuesday shows brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties, a name you can trust, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Looking for that place on the Mississippi coast, whether that's in Bay St. Louis, past Christian, Daryl May can help you out with that. Looking for some land for hunting, which that season's right around the corner, in St. Francisville, Feliciana's, or in Point Capee, or in Mississippi. Daryl May can help you out with that. Looking to get out of the hustle and bustle of the city, Daryl May, Trusty Properties, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. All right, Sharif Ishak, WDSU, when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Oh, and here's another time to tell you about Daryl May of Trusty Properties, but I can tell you about some other things. Look, Daryl is a lifelong Baton Rouge resident. Born and raised here, went to Catholic High, and decided in his adult years, like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and move this to the country, basically. And there's a lot of folks that are just like that. If you're looking for a primary residence or a secondary residence that's got some land attached to it, whether you hunt or not, whether you're in agriculture or not, whether you want 30 acres or 300 acres, Daryl can help with all of that. There's so many of you that are thinking about moving and getting some more space. Do like Daryl did. Can be in Louisiana, can be in Mississippi, Woodville, anywhere in Mississippi. Daryl has access to the most premier listings in both states. He can help facilitate that process for you. It's Daryl May at Trusty Properties. He's a licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Daryl May with Trusty Properties.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trusty Properties.
"30 minutes to go on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Saints 0-1 dropped their season opener to the Cardinals. Week 2 approaching. San Francisco heads to the Dome. We'll see who's playing quarterback for the 49ers. We'll see who's playing tight end for the 49ers. But got to talk about the home team first. Sharif Ishak, WDSU. Good enough to do that with us on Tuesday. Sharif, how are we doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Hunt?
I'm quite well. You were in the Dome on Sunday. First, vibe check. How was it?
It was, I thought the vibes in terms of the fans, I thought it was better than I was expecting. You know, I thought the fans were in it the whole game, and it helps that the team kept it close for pretty much the entire game. I thought the vibes were fine. Yeah, it was decent. I'll go with that.
How was the quarterback?
I thought Spencer Rattler also played decent. He did a good job not really getting, sacks, only one sack. Took himself out of a lot of the pressures. Sustainable long drives. Wish they'd have had more touchdowns. The one thing, Hunt, is he threw 46 passes, but when you're talking about 7 yards an attempt or completion, 7 yards an attempt, this is not enough to me. I think that there has to be some explosives at some point in time in his bag. They've got to get the ball down the field somehow. He threw that one. It was in the wrong spot by a mile. That ball should have been on the outside shoulder. That got picked off. Thankfully, there was a penalty. But there needs to be more down. They need to go down the field a little bit more. I get it's the first game. They're running tempo. Sometimes it's harder to do that when you're running tempo. But I thought he was decent. But if he could find a way to create some more plays, 20, 25, maybe 40 yards down the field at times, got to take those shots sometimes in order to give your team a chance to win. Because these 12 to 15 play drives aren't going to win you many games. I mean, yeah, it may win you 1 or 2, but you have to find a way to take some shots down the field.
Was there another noteworthy performance, either good or bad, on the offense that you noticed?
I thought the offensive line for the part played decent. Look, the running game was good. You looked at both Kendra and Alvin. I thought Kendra played well, and you've been asking me about Kendra for a good part of the season. But in terms of as the collective as a whole, I thought the running game did a solid job. Look, they gave themselves a chance to win the way they ran the ball. I think that's another good part of the offense from that game was the way they ran it, and the offensive line blocked it. And just a few more plays through the air, they would have won it. But, minus his drop / good defended play at the end of the game, I thought Juwan Johnson made some very crucial catches for them, and some of them were pick up first downs. He's also a positive. I know people might disagree because of that play at the end of the game, but I thought he was a positive as well.
How much different is our conversation if Juwan Johnson catches that last ball? Is it just that simple that it completely changes the entirety of the conversation if he comes down with it?
Yeah, but you don't know what's going to happen. What if they miss the extra point? What if they go for 2 and don't get it? It does, certainly, Hunt, yes. It does change the conversation a little bit. But here's the problem with this entire conversation. They may not even be in that situation, or they might be even winning the game. We're not even having this conversation if they weren't sloppy throughout the entire game. They're just the defense, 3rd and long situation. Way too many pre-snap penalties. You have 8 pre-snap penalties. That's not going to win you football games. And then you have Kellen Moore not taking the timeouts before the end of the half. You just don't know if you're going to score some points, have a chance to score some points. Maybe they're not in that situation to where you're asking Juwan Johnson to go up into traffic and catch the ball between 4 players in the Cardinals secondary. Maybe they're kicking a field goal to win. You just don't know. But yeah, yes and no when it comes to that conversation could be different. But so many other things could have changed the outcome of that game and not put themselves in that position.
As far as the defense goes, you had your old faithfuls in Demario Davis and Cam Jordan kind of showing out. What'd you make of that?
Yeah, I think that they did an awesome job for the most part containing Kyler Murray. We've been talking about it for years, Hunt, since the Saints have been around. Their existence of dual threat quarterbacks and containing them and not letting a guy like Kyler Murray break the clock. He did a few times, but for the most part, I thought that, Cam, Demario, and pretty much the entire defense did a good job containing Kyler Murray from having those massive big runs down the field. And the one part once again is the 3rd and long, but I thought for the most part the defense played well. They played well, especially in the second half. They didn't change anything. They did the same thing they did in the second half. They just had better tackling, and they gave up 3 points, right around 100 yards in the second half. So I think the defense played well for the most part. If you're asking me, I did 5 sacks. That's pretty good. The only thing that they were missing in that game, and I think Cam Jordan repeated it a few times, turnover or 2. They needed a turnover or 2.
What'd you make of Kool-Aid McKinstry? That's a tough assignment, but what'd you make of his play?
Yeah, it was a tough game. I think it was a tough game for him. And everyone's going to say the interference call there in that one drive, first drive of the game. He tugged on his jersey. I think when you look at the replay, it's probably the right call. It can be a little nitpicky by the officiating, but that crew, Kellen Moore said they called they knew they were going to call the game tight, and they were going to call a lot of penalties, and which they did. And I thought it was more downs than ups, and that's fine. I told you that he would get better as the season went along. I mean, he's going to draw some assignments this year that's going to make him a better player. But there was that one play down the field that Marvin Harrison made. He was tight coverage. It was just a better throw and a better catch. The 45-yard play down the sideline. He played okay to me. He played okay, but that's fine. That's fine because he's going to get better.
No doubt, just a young player trying to get those guys coached up to be the backbone of the next really, really good Saints team. How about the athleticism of Brian Brzee blocking that field goal?
I just want to say, man, the guy's got some hops.
Yep.
Just straight leaping. I think the second time he's blocked a field goal in his career. So, yeah, man, that was athletic. That was a spark right there. That was a spark that got him, gave him a chance there at the end of the game. I mean, with 4:40 left, they go down the field. I really wish they had 3 cracks from the 3-yard line, Hunt. They could have scored a touchdown in that drive. And, once again, who knows what would have happened on that final drive. But, yeah, it's a very athletic play by Brian Brzee. And you're starting to see some consistency with him and doing other things right, even in a run game. So it's another thing, the run defense, minus that one long play down the sideline. Run defense was solid. But, yeah, Brian Brzee, athletic freak at his size.
All right, let's look forward to San Francisco. 49ers come into the Dome on Sunday. No Kittle. He's on IR. Purdy at this point, pretty questionable for the ball game. What kind of chance you give the Saints to just bring an upset on a hobbled San Francisco team?
These are the 2 most hobbled teams in the NFL in the last 5 years. It truly feels like they're always battling some kind of injuries on each side for these franchises. When I think of Kittle, good thing he's not playing. The last time I saw Kittle in the Dome, he was, caught that big third down play that helped them win the game, and I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
DJ Gardner-Johnson got beat on that play, and that's the last thing I remember of George Kittle in the Superdome. But I think the Saints, I thought, honestly, look, Hunt, whenever we were talking about the game last week for the opener, I said maybe they have a better chance to beat the 49ers. I don't know if the 49ers are really that good. I keep telling myself, are they really that good? Their defense is good, but their offense just seems blah to me. There's something missing with that offense. Even with Purdy and everyone playing, it just didn't seem right. It just seems like they're missing that playmaker. Now Mac Jones is playing. I'm going to give the Saints even way better chance to win that game for the most part because they're healthy. The Saints are healthy minus Julian Blackmon. It feels pretty good for the Saints to win this game. Just got to do what they did this week. I mean, if it's Mac Jones, which is trending towards Mac Jones in the court, just go after him. And I think Brandon Staley is a really good defensive coordinator. He's going to find a way to rattle him a little bit and give that defense a chance to finally force those turnovers and put the offense in a good spot. So I like the Saints' chances a lot. I think this is the chance for them in this tough stretch to win a game and give Kellen Moore his first victory. So anxious to see Spencer throw the ball a little bit more down the field, and I think that this is where it gets a little tough because that defense is really good. I mean, it's good. I mean, that's way better than the Cardinals. They're going to have to scheme right for this defense this week.
No doubt, Sharif Ishak will be all over it for the team over there at WDSU. He's with us on Tuesdays talking black and gold. Sharif, thanks for the time, sir.
Anytime, Hunt.
All right, we'll do it again next week. Sharif Ishak, WDSU. We'll come back, close things out. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. America's best warranty. They love telling you about it. I love telling you about it. Talking about a powertrain warranty, 10 years, 100,000 mile, bumper to bumper, new vehicle warranty, 5 years, 60,000 miles. That is industry best. Talking about an enhanced 24/7 roadside assistance for 5 years with unlimited miles. And then complimentary scheduled valet maintenance for 3 years, 36,000 miles. It's as good a warranty as there is in the industry, and Genesis is happy to put that on the plate of its new drivers. Every single car on the line is an IHA top safety pick, and they all come with these warranties. So when you are in the market for a new vehicle, you're on Airline Highway, which you probably will be, just stop off right there at PQ at Genesis Baton Rouge, chat with one of their brand ambassadors, tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you in, and become a member of that Genesis Club. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
The new LSU baseball schedule is out.
I was going to have that and take it or leave it, Hunt.
Well, I can just talk about it now.
Oh, great. We don't have many right now. I don't know if you know that. Maybe your computer's dead.
It's your job. My computer. Oh, it's a new computer.
Oh.
New computer.
How's it going?
The old one just was not tenable anymore. It was freezing about 30% of the time.
It was pretty old.
I'm in a position now where I need to, at times, rush things to the website.
Yep.
As far as breaking news goes, I can't have a computer freeze up 3 times over the course of 4 minutes when I'm trying to put something up there. So we got a new one here that I'm excited about. However, the keyboard is clearly shifted over to the right, and I miss the key by 50% of the time, and I haven't adjusted to that. It's the first day, so we'll see.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
But it's been a tough day as far as typing things goes. As far as this schedule goes, I don't love the graphic. It's a little difficult.
It's weird how it goes to the side. It goes left to right instead of down and up.
It's just a lot of weird stuff. But I think I can go in order. SEC play. They open at Vanderbilt, then home Oklahoma, home Kentucky. I don't think Oklahoma or Kentucky are going to be very good. Kyson Witherspoon's gone for Oklahoma. Kentucky never has anybody that can pitch at all, although they had a freshman left-hander that was good this past year, so Hill should be maybe decent. Then they go to Knoxville, and then they go to Oxford. So that's back-to-back road trips. Then you got A&M at home, at Mississippi State. LSU's road schedule this year, at Vanderbilt, who was the number 1 overall seed last year, at Tennessee, who's got one of the best programs in the country, at Ole Miss, who I don't think is going to be great, at Mississippi State, who is going to be very good. They spent a ton of money on that roster. And they're at Georgia in the second to last weekend of the year. And see if Georgia can pitch this year. They've hit like crazy for the last couple of years. And then that they have finished the SEC season at home against Florida. So, I missed South Carolina in there as well. So Paul Mainieri will come to Baton Rouge May 1st through the 3rd for the first time there with the South Carolina team that did spend a lot of money in the transfer portal, but again, I don't think is going to be overly good. So you miss Arkansas, which has got a lot of people up in arms. Who else do you miss? You miss Missouri. That's a terrible thing. You miss Auburn. You miss... I'll have to look at it. But it's hard to tell off that graphic just seeing it for the first time with no notes here. So we'll see. But no Arkansas on the schedule, who's likely to be very good. No Missouri, who's assured to be awful. That's kind of the highlights of the thing right there. But I'm going to write something up for the website this afternoon about my 3 takeaways from the schedule. So I'll dive into it, do a little bit more research, and get that up on the website at LouisianaSports.net coming up later this afternoon. Beck, we got take it or leave it now that you've had some extra time?
No, not really, but we have a few, I guess.
Great. Love to hear it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Light by Yingling, next generation of light beer. Tailgating out there on campus this weekend. To pick up some beers to get on ice for the whole tailgate. Flight by Yingling needs to be on your list. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. That means you can knock down a few out in the parking lot before you head in to Tiger Stadium to watch LSU and the Florida Gators. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All right, first one. You will never remember that you are the first to speak on Take It or Leave It. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I do that all the time. Always.
Leave it alone.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm looking at the chat. Sometimes I'm just doing something else.
We've only been doing this segment presented by Yingling, Flight by Yingling, for probably at least a couple of months.
Are you attempting to suggest that more often than not, I forget to do the read?
You do.
That is completely incorrect.
Oh, okay.
Completely
really?
Incorrect.
All right. I would say
incorrect.
I would say every week you forget at least twice.
No, that's wrong. Maybe once.
I think it's twice.
And that was only like 2.5 seconds.
Okay. Well, yeah, but that's because I pointed at you because I now at this point I'm just ready to like try to get your attention.
I absolutely
you know.
remember 80% of the time. If not
okay, 80% of the time works every time. Is that
yes.
Okay. All right. First one. I'm sorry. The next one here. Broncos ownership will fully fund a new stadium in downtown Denver. It will feature a retractable roof. Take it or leave it.
Take it.
Yes. Oh, well,
I'll take it.
That took a second.
This notion that football weather needs to be in the snow in the 11 degrees at the playoffs is ridiculous. It's cold in Denver. Put a roof over it so we can play real football in the games that really matter. Buffalo's screwing this up, but I'm glad to see the folks in Denver are coming to their senses. We need a roof in these freezing cold places. Shout out to the Vikings. They got a roof. Shout out to the Lions. They got a roof. Everybody needs a roof. Because you can't play the Dolphins don't need a roof, except they probably do in September and October.
And also shout out to the Broncos for funding the building of the stadium.
Are you aware of who the owner of the Broncos is?
Yes, I understand.
Who is it?
Actually, is it the city?
It's the Waltons.
Okay,
the Walmart family.
Yeah,
they're the second richest owners in the NFL.
Okay, well, either way, I still commend them for doing that and not trying to get the city to pay for 50% of it or however much
That's
most
good.
do.
Very good, but they have a lot of funds.
Yes, they do. All right, last one, real quick. Update on the MLB hunt. The Cubs are 7.5 out. We're going to be going through the wild card. The Cubs can make it to a championship series through the wild card. Take it or leave it.
Take it. But
I'll take it.
They're going to need to learn how to hit because half the time.
Well, I would say remember how to hit.
Literally half the time they don't hit.
They got to remember how to hit, Hunt. They did hit earlier.
They win too many games 2-1. They win too many games 3-2. Much less the ones they lose like last night where they scored 1 run. So they just You've got to score 8 every once in a while.
They know how to hit Hunt. They did it early in the season. They're just in a little bit of a cold streak right now.
It's a lot of a cold streak.
It is.
So sustained cold streak.
Yes, that's fair.
But they pitch very well, which I like.
Yes, that's it.
It's brought to you by Flight by Yingling, which I remember to tell you
every single time.
All right, that's it for Tuesday edition. We're brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Looking for land outside the city, whether it's in Louisiana, in Point Capee, or in the Felicianas, Daryl can help you with that. If you like some land in Woodville, Mississippi, or over on the Mississippi coast in Pass Christian, or perhaps Bay St. Louis, Daryl May can help you with that. Daryl May, Trusty Properties, a name you can trust. Missed any of today's show? Catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Talked a lot of LSU, heard some sound from Brian Kelly, talked to Glenn West, broke down the LSU and Florida rivalry. We also talked to Colin Jeter, had a couple Saints segments today as well, talking about Taysom Hill, and then we had with Sharif Ishak on a little bit earlier. Find all that at Hunt on Saints. That's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Have a great and safe Tuesday evening. See you in 22 hours.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know